Unbelievable, The Two-Faced Wife, The Widow's Game, Final Chapter. The morning after the anonymous call, Detective Harper arrived at the station before sunrise. Rain clouds lingered over Hawthorne Ridge, and the town felt heavier than usual, like the quiet itself was watching. Melissa Grant hadn't been seen in days. But whispers were everywhere. Someone said she was planning to leave town. Someone else said she already had. Harper didn't believe either. Melissa wasn't the kind of woman who ran. She was the kind who waited for the right audience. 3 days later, Melissa appeared on live television, a local morning show. Black dress, pearl earrings, perfect posture. The host introduced her gently. A woman who's endured the unimaginable, losing both her husband and her friend in one tragic year. Melissa lowered her eyes. "Grief changes you," she said softly. "But I believe forgiveness is stronger than pain." Her voice trembled just enough to sound human. The comments poured in. "She's so brave. Stay strong, Melissa." But Harper, watching from his office, saw the truth hidden in her eyes. She wasn't surviving tragedy. She was directing it. Later that same day, a delivery arrived at the station. No return address, just Harper's name on the envelope. Inside was a flash drive. He plugged it into his laptop, and a folder opened with one video file. The truth about Melissa. The footage was grainy, security camera quality. Timestamp: 1 week before Ethan Grant's death. It showed Melissa sitting in a parked car. Beside her, Daniel. But she wasn't crying or scared or in love. She was smiling. Her voice was calm. "He's getting suspicious," she said. Daniel hesitated. "So what do we do?" "We finish what we started." Harper froze. That single sentence turned everything upside down. Someone out there had proof she planned it, and wanted him to find it. Harper traced the footage to a traffic camera near Maple Avenue. But the footage hadn't come from any official source. It had been pulled manually. Someone hacked into the town's surveillance archive. The logs pointed to a single device, registered under Ethan Grant's account. Harper's pulse quickened. Ethan had seen them. He'd known about the affair. He'd started gathering evidence before his death. And if he'd stored one video, there had to be more. Back at the Grant house, Harper searched Ethan's home office again. The drawers were neat, the shelves immaculate, too immaculate. He tapped the wooden panel under the desk and it shifted slightly. A false bottom. Inside was a small external hard drive labeled Personal. When he plugged it in, a folder popped up. "If anything happens to me." It contained voice memos, photos, and a note. "Melissa is lying. I think Daniel's helping her. If I disappear, look at her accounts. There's more." Harper exhaled slowly. Ethan had tried to warn someone, anyone. But he'd never made it that far. As Harper reviewed the files, his phone buzzed again. Unknown number. Same voice. "Detective," she whispered. "You really should stop chasing ghosts." Harper clenched his jaw. "Who is this? Melissa?" Pause. Then softly. "If you think she's dangerous now, you haven't met the man who taught her everything." The line went dead. He replayed the words in his mind. The man who taught her everything. Was it Daniel? No, Daniel was dead. So who else was part of this game? When Harper dug through Melissa's background, he found something buried deep, before she was Melissa Grant, before she ever came to Hawthorne Ridge. 10 years earlier, she had been Melissa Carver, working as a paralegal for a high-profile defense attorney named Charles Hitt. Beneath the note was a small key. Harper looked around, then saw it. The same bookshelf Ethan had built himself, its center panel slightly misaligned. He turned the key in a hidden slot, and the shelf clicked open. Behind it, a narrow passage leading down to a hidden basement. The passage was dark and smelled of dust and damp wood. At the bottom was a small, windowless room, walls lined with old photo frames, receipts, and bank documents pinned like evidence in a private investigation. At the center sat a computer still humming quietly, its monitor frozen on a paused video. The title read, "For Harper." He pressed play. Ethan's face appeared, tired, pale, voice low but steady. "If you're watching this, I didn't make it. Melissa isn't who you think she is. She's been planning something bigger than me, bigger than Daniel. She's part of Vaughn's network. They clean up money for clients, and when anyone gets close, they vanish. Daniel found out. He wanted to expose her, that's why he died." Ethan swallowed hard. "She thinks she's untouchable. But there's one thing she doesn't know. I recorded everything, every meeting, every call, every lie." The video glitched, static, then black. Then another voice filled the speakers. "Melissa's. You shouldn't have come here, detective." Harper froze. The voice wasn't from the recording. It was live. He turned, and there she was. Melissa stood in the doorway, calm, elegant, wearing black gloves and that same haunting smile. Ethan was always too sentimental, she said. He thought the truth would save him. But the truth doesn't save anyone, detective. It just feeds the story. Harper's hand hovered near his holster. It ends tonight, Melissa? She tilted her head, almost pitying him. Oh, I agree. But for who? She pressed something in her hand, a small remote. A faint beep echoed. The hum of the computer changed, a timer blinking on the monitor. 00:59. 00:58. An explosive device. Harper lunged forward, grabbing her wrist. They crashed into the desk, papers scattering, the monitor toppling to the floor. Why? He shouted. Why kill him? Why any of this? Melissa laughed softly, her voice trembling with emotion and madness. Because Ethan wanted peace. And peace is punishment in this world. I gave him silence, the kind that never ends. Harper wrestled the remote from her hand and smashed it against the wall. The timer froze at 0:12. For a second everything was still. Then distant sirens broke the silence. Backup had arrived. Melissa slumped against the wall, her perfect hair disheveled, her mask cracking for the first time. Do you really think you've won? She whispered. Harper didn't answer. He just stared at her, this woman who had turned love into leverage, guilt into art. As officers cuffed her, she smiled faintly. Detective, she said softly, you'll tell my story someday. Everyone does. Weeks later, the case made national headlines. Two-faced wife unmasked, the Melissa Grant conspiracy. Ethan's recordings exposed Vaughn's money laundering network. Dozens of arrests followed. But one name never appeared on any official report, Charles Vaughn. He had vanished again. One night, Harper sat alone in his office, going through the last pieces of evidence when an envelope slid under his door. Inside was a photo, Melissa in an orange jumpsuit, sitting in a prison visiting room. Across from her sat Vaughn. Both smiling. On the back of the photo, a single line was written in neat cursive. You can't end a story that still has readers. Harper looked out the window into the silent night of Hawthorne Ridge. For the first time he realized, Melissa hadn't lost. She had simply changed the narrative. The end.